Hello, my name is John Disbrow, and for my final project in my Communications 1000 class, I will be presenting on issues of barriers in communication and poor communication in the workplace. These issues can create many problems for a company, such as assignments or projects being done late or incorrectly. To resolve these issues, it requires time and patience, and occasionally issues like this can be fixed between the two parties involved, but sometimes it is helpful to have a third party, such as a superior, to mediate and help resolve these issues. If issues like this go unresolved, tension can arise in the workforce among employees, which will result in even more problems for a company. New employees are more vulnerable to experience issues like this because they don't fully understand how a company works and what exactly is supposed to happen when it's supposed to happen. Firsthand, I have experience with this. When I was 18 years old, I started a new job as a busboy, and the first night I was just shadowing, getting to know what to do, barely doing anything. By the end of the first week, I was able to fulfill all the duties that was required of me fairly well. One night it was a busy night, and I was assigned to a server, and my server was already stressed out, and she asked me to run downstairs to the basement to grab a certain bottle of wine. So, wanting to complete my task, I ran downstairs, and I got to where the wine was, and I had completely forgot the name of the wine she wanted me to grab. So I'm standing there for 3 minutes. It felt like forever, but I'm standing there for 3 minutes staring at wine, and finally I narrowed it down to two wines. Now I remember the name that she said sounded Italian, so I narrowed it down to these two Italian sounding names. I grabbed one of the bottles and rushed back upstairs. Once I found my server again, I presented the bottle, and the look on her face told me that I had grabbed the wrong one, and now she had to go run down and grab it herself, which took about 20 seconds or so. Feeling embarrassed, the rest of the night it weighed on me, and I was ashamed that I couldn't complete the simple task that was asked. At the end of the night, my server came to me and confronted me about the issue that we had experienced earlier. I apologized for causing an inconvenience to her, and she apologized on her because she had not realized that I had never done that before, and I was new to the job. So she apologized and I apologized, and she offered to show me where the specific wine was, so an issue like this would not happen in the future, which I accepted and found very helpful in the future, or down the road. An example of a language barrier that I experienced while working was when my senior class went on a service trip to Costa Rica, and I, being one of a few students who did not speak the language, Spanish, did not speak Spanish or understand Spanish at all, we were bound to run into some issues. We were going to work with a small community and help them build a new schoolhouse. While there, we would spend 4 days building this schoolhouse, and we split up into groups. My group ended up working 3 of the 4 days because we enjoyed the work much more than others in our class. So we ended up working more days than everyone else. In my group are the men in charge of the construction crew were 2 Costa Rican men who did not speak a single word of English, and we only had one student who could translate for us, and her translation was a little rough, but we were still able to get work done and were able to complete tasks. Now, Costa Ricans are known to work slower because of the heat, and we were working outside, So they like to take their time and relax and move at a slower pace. But us being young Americans, we were eager, we wanted to do more, we felt like we could be doing a lot more. So they were offering us a lot of breaks, and we would say thank you, but no, we're all right. And then on the second day of working, one of my fellow classmates collapsed from heat exhaustion. And and they warned us about this, that if you work too much, you could collapse, because the weather there, we were working in 90-degree weather or whatnot. So it was much hotter than what we experience here in the States. Um, so the issue that we experienced was that they were telling us that heat exhaustion could happen to us, but the severity of it was lost in translation when it was being translated to English for us to understand. So the rest of the trip, we were more cautious about taking breaks when needed, getting water, making sure we were well enough to do the work, and taking our time. Um, solving problems like these, of barriers in communication because of language and poor communication, require time and patience from both parties. The party sending the message has to slow down and provide greater detail when speaking, and speaking fast will not help the situation, and the receiver has to make sure that they understand and ask questions if they do not understand what exactly is being asked of them. So it goes both ways. The first example highlights stress and inconvenience, and the solution was face-to-face conversation with no third party needed. The second example was a little extreme example of communication barriers because of language, but it could lead to harmful actions like my fellow classmate getting heat exhaustion. In that situation, a translator was needed, and also what helped us a lot was hand gestures into what was asked of us to do. Unfortunately, the heat exhaustion was an experience that we had to learn, so we learned from it, and unfortunately it happened, but it was better to happen than have it happen to more people, kind of thing. Regardless of the scenario, all parties should understand what is being asked and if it's right. Issues like this are inevitable, but they can be learning lessons, which is important. Thank you for listening.